was able to see this gentleman at the game conference the other day. It was also a release party for Gem Wars Attack of the Giblets, and it was really cool to hear you speaking to like a lot of developers, especially here in Miami, because everyone's always talking about how they will probably have to end up going to California, and we're trying to change that down here. And I'm just happy to have a David Israel Nunez Alvear with us. I did say that right, because I have a notion of messing up names.
It's Alvear, but who cares?
Oh,
I have
Alvear.
one name too many, you know.
See, I knew it'd be something. I always got to add some kind of mistakes to the blooper reel, but thanks for coming on and talking with us.
No problem. At least you didn't get the David or the Israel part wrong,
Oh,
or the Nunez. And the Nunez is the one that's the real me.
well, see, I think if I get too much wrong, then they're gonna just fire me. I'm just out the door.
Oh, okay. Well,
But it was really cool seeing you, talking about your experience with the game and going into, design and like what it takes to actually be, to create a game and like all the pitfalls, because a lot of people may get, into the idea of, man, it sounds cool to make a game, and then when they hit their first pitfalls, it's like, oh man, this is harder than I thought. And I liked how you kind of broke it down realistically, the good and the possible bad things that game developers can encounter.
yep, definitely. That was my intention. I wanted to bring some reality to some of these dreams, but also I wanted to give some hope to those who dream, by giving them some instruction on how to make those dreams happen. Man, I should write a book.
Yeah, I mean, I think, believe it or not, even though there may be information out there on the internet, and of course, like some of those people, they're in classes and stuff, so they're getting that help there. But I think sometimes just having some of the raw talk, like I especially liked when you talked about even things like how people will drop out, because
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's something people see all the time, where they say, hey, I have all these people that seem interested in something, but maybe their passion is much higher than everyone else, and the next thing you know, they turn around and all their soldiers are gone.
Yeah, that's happened quite a few times, and it's not just this project, but like any project. Like I was in a band once, I was doing film, and people by nature are just flaky. That's what it is. I mean, because and I understand because people have real lives and they have other things to do, but it, you know, warn someone, I guess, like that about your. I guess you kind of gotta feel the person out, kind of see how can I say this? See what their lives are like. Like if they have like a 9 to 5 job, and it's not like a 9 to 5 job. It's like a 9 to 7 job. Like usually, like you could tell that they're late sometimes, and then you know that they're going to be problematic from the start. And so you're kind of like, ooh, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, where did it start for you, like the wanting to create a game? Because I like to find out like the different things where it comes from. Was it just from like playing games? Was it from like seeing someone else create something, or was there like a game that just said, hey, after seeing this, now I want to actually make my own?
I mean, it was kind of a combination of like all of that. It's like I grew up playing video games, and I saw a bunch of video games being made, and I was like, oh, I had a pretty nifty idea. And Gem Wars was actually the second idea I had for a video game. The first one was a Mega Man fan game, and if anyone who's interested, they can always Google it. It's Mega Man Evolution 1.7 or 1.4 or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it was a nifty little fun game, and it was like basically what I thought Mega Man should evolve into, because Mega Man like 1 through 10 were exactly the same exact game. I wanted to see something a little different. So and I think that's where also Gem Wars came from. It came from seeing like Smash Brothers and Worms and Bomberman, and being like, oh, if maybe they did this differently, and that's why they all kind of have that feel of all those games.
And was there like, I guess, pitfalls for you personally that helped when you were talking to people and telling them about what they should look for?
Hmm. Pitfalls. Let's see. Um, yeah, there were a few. I mean, because I too had a day job. I had a job that was supposed to be 9 to 5, but like sometimes was a 12-hour day, or yeah, I used to have like 15-hour days at work. So I guess, you know, I don't know if I answered the question properly. Did I?
Well, I can understand just dealing with work because I know that some people, like even in writing or in film, they say to themselves, hey, I'm going to just throw everything into this. And, you know, you got to realize, hey, a lot of this time you're going to still need your day job, your other form of income. Even
Right.
once you're done and you release something, that doesn't mean it's big time. So, I
Oh
mean, that
yeah.
in itself could be a challenge to just realize that, hey, you know what, I'm going to have to put in extra time on top of work, on top of social life and everything else if I really want to be committed to getting my game done.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's I mean, you gotta be realistic when you're planning out like your game, like to like if you want your game to happen, you're gonna have to like pretty much take control of your life and kind of steer everything yourself, basically. Like if you want to be the guy that from beginning to end wants to see that game done, you gotta like move stuff around in your life. Like for example, um, I actually switched the job because it was cutting too much into my indie game development. So I went to another job that was slightly more lenient, so that kind of helped. So that's why, like in the last few months of development, like we were able to accomplish so much.
Did you ever have those moments where you said to yourself, like, man, I think this is too much, or it's not going to work, or I'm going to quit? Or were you pretty much focused once you set in, you were like, I got this?
Well, I quit almost a few times because number one, after playing the same game for like 7 years, you kind of just get exhausted. You just want it to end, basically. The same game, the same visuals, the same sound. It will sometimes no longer have the same effect on you as it did when you first started. But then when you go out and you see, like, that's why I went to like different conventions, because once I got to see other people playing my game, it was like that feeling all over again of having the surge of like, oh, I should finish this. I should do this. Like it gave me what I needed before, so I can accomplish it.
Did you have like any mentors or people that you looked up to also that helped you along the way?
Let's see. I worked with Simon Strange on his latest project, Colossal Kaiju Combat, which is it's an indie game. He is the director of all the Godzilla games for like PlayStation 2 and um, GameCube, like all those really big Godzilla games. That was all him. Like he was the lead designer there. Um, so I helped him out a little bit on his latest endeavor. Um, Little things here and there, like and whatever. And he was very accepting of my work, and I was like, okay, and it got me back into my own game basically. And I always admired David Jaffe. David Jaffe's always been someone that I would see as an inspiration.
So I mean, like once you had like Gem Wars complete and it was ready to go out there, was there that feeling like, this is it? I know it's going to be, something that's really great. Because I mean, I was looking at it on Steam, for instance. It has positive reviews and all that. I know it just was released on the 15th of December. But I mean, like, did you overall just feel like, hey, this is it, or was it like, hey, now comes the next part of it?
That's the funny thing. It's never over. I I so I released the game, and this is supposed to be the final version, but there's so many things after releasing it that you're kind of like, it kind of feels incomplete with this or this, or so I could have continued working on the game for another 3 years, to be honest, and I didn't want to do that. So what I did was I released to a point that it's playable, it's representative to what the full game is going to be, and should I want to add anything, I could. And it's planned to have a competitive update, which is going to have like ladders and matchmaking and all sorts of cool stuff that's coming up sometime in spring 2016.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really cool because I like the combat aspect of it. You know, you have the groups that people can come together, so you can even do like little, like tournaments and attacks, and you know, with your friends and stuff like that. So, I mean, it has that kind of game. It's that kind of game where you can bring a lot of people together, which I see, you know, a lot more people are really into games where you can play with other people. I mean, so there's gonna be some solo titles that are always gonna be great, but a game like this where you can play with other people seems to break through, especially nowadays.
Oh yeah, and you know, couch co-op especially has been you know, on the rise for the last few years, and I'm really excited that I just so happened to, you know, jump in as it was happening. So um, yeah, like we have a few modes that you could play single player, but if you want to have like a really good time, you go and you throw in some other players and have, you know, have a blast. It could be local players or online players, doesn't matter.
Now, what about the aspect of, you know, rising above other games and just so much out there? Because I mean, it used to be a time where, you know, if you knew about indie games, you went to one place and you would get your information. But it's getting to the point now where people want to see a lot more. Like indie, there's like almost like a little revolution of indie games where a lot more people are playing it, yet there's still a lot of people making it. Like, how do you rise above all that so that your game gets noticed?
I guess keep trying. And that's what I've been doing. I keep going to conventions. I have a few things I'm working on right now. Tomorrow, the game's going to be bundled up with Indie Gala. Um, we have this partnership that we're working on with Indie Box that we're uh, not sure if it's going to be for their PAX box or something. I don't know. We're still in negotiation. So let's see. We also are. I'm going to do a panel on Magic City Con. So I'm constantly out there. I'm constantly trying to make it for the game. Like everything I do is for the game. So
What about Miami, you know, South Florida specifically, just, you know, working in that environment? Because, you know, a lot of people still think just like with film or something like that, it's like, oh, I have to head off to California. You know, if there's someone that says to themselves, you know, I'd like to be able to build something here, and there are people that are trying to do that. Like, what do you think about the game culture and, you know, business prospects here in South Florida?
well, lately I've been noticing more and more. I mean, you know, now that we have the Magic Center in Miami-Dade, that's amazing. They've been incredibly supportive to our group, and so has Make Games Miami. Um, you know, we're on the rise here, so there's no point in going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought that, you know, gaming should get up there the same way as entertainment. And I think that sometimes you still have people who have that like disconnect where they love playing games, you know they're playing games, but some are still ashamed to say they're playing games, especially when they get older and they don't want to do things, you know, like the same way with entertainment. Like they'll have all the parties and everything for like a film or something like that, but with gaming they still seem hesitant and they almost want to put it back in like the geek nerd box. However, with Miami, you kind of mix the two cultures. You have that entertainment club atmosphere, and then you could bring gaming into it, where it rises to the level of coolness across, you know, mainstream, where I think it should be.
Yeah, I think it's got plenty of potential there. Um, I think within the next few years, it like, you know, we'll be up there with Utah or California or whoever is trying to make their own gaming scene. You know, I think we're neck to neck right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen how a lot of gamers like to drink, going out to some of these after parties, and they like to party. And I mean, what better place than Miami to do that? Like after a convention or a release party, like what you had on the 15th.
Oh yeah, no, and I had a blast.
Was there besides like Mega Man stuff like that? Did you have like, you know, favorite games growing up that you just played a lot of?
Let's see. Uh, I mentioned Twisted Metal before, so yeah. I even have like a Sweet Tooth action figure up there. I don't know if it's probably not because it looks like a really bad camera. But anyways, yeah. So Twisted Metal was one I played a lot. My brother and I, we played that for hours and hours and hours, and you know, it was like the first. Oh, I wouldn't say it was the first, um, but my cousins and I, we did like the whole four-player split screen thing. It was fantastic. It was. was a blast. We did Mario Kart, Mega Man. I already mentioned Mario, anything Mario actually, not just Mario Kart. Yeah, I mean, there's so many inspirations. I play everything. I play even Pokemon, and to this day, I'm obsessed with Pokemon. I'm a 31-year-old who goes for all the, went to McDonald's last week, I think, to go get like a legendary Pokemon,
Oh,
and I don't
nice.
care.
No, and I think that's good. I mean, I think that, when people just realize they're saying that so many gamers are over 30 now and they're still playing and they're having fun. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, just the same way as watching TV, being in the sports or anything else. You talked about like going to a lot of conventions. Can you tell us just a little bit about like the interactions and experiences you had when you went to like these different conventions?
Sure. Huh. So interactions. I was actually kind of afraid to like put the game out there because I was like, I was a little hesitant because I was like 6 years working on it and it didn't look as great as it should have. So I was like, I was kind of worried, but it wasn't until like I started seeing people actually having a blast with the game, like the same look and feel that um I had a blast with playing Twisted Metal or Mario Kart, any of those games. Like they had that sensation, and I was like it was like radiating off of them onto me, and I absorbed it and became like a Superman empowered entity of inspiration.
When, as far as like when you were talking to the upcoming like developers and people who are interested in developing, I mean, I know that you spoke at length about, and you took a lot of questions, which was great because a lot of people had a lot of good questions. Was there like overall theme that you were going with to like convey these people, because obviously they're in school and they're getting some things, but did you yourself have just some important steps of wisdom or something that you want to impart on them?
Well, yeah, as I had just mentioned, the whole Superman entity thing, and it's probably because I'm staring at the Superman poster in the background. But I'm also very obsessed with superheroes, and as you can tell, also from behind me, those are all Marvel comics. But also, if you look at the end, that's
Awesome.
DC. Well, actually, no, that's just Batman. That whole layer right there, and Batman was actually the inspiration and the theme I used to tie my presentation. I think Batman is just an inspirational character, and like everything he does to you know to the potential, to his maximum potential, and I think that's inspirational. If I haven't used that word enough.
No, hey, but that's true. I mean, I think that when you have all those people that are looking for a little bit more, especially from someone that's out there, it's like on one hand, they'll see like something like a AAA title and they'll say, well, maybe I could be part of a team, but maybe I want to do something myself, and that's going to take a lot more. And to hear from someone, I mean, obviously you have people that help you, but it's a more smaller knit thing where you have to put in so much extra work than just, you're just part of a gigantic team. So to be able to hear from you and hear about your experience, I think is really helpful.
No, thank you. I mean, I appreciate it. Anyone that's willing to listen, I'm willing to help. I've always been the type to be supportive of anyone that is looking for help. Like I've gone to some bands that have, let's say, aren't good, but they're my friends playing guitar, and I'm like, okay, well, rock on, you guys. That's horrible. But I do it because I feel that you know there's not a lot of artists out there, and to put yourself out there, you kind of like you need something inside you that needs to come out, and I get it. I'm the same way. So support. That's it. Support.
The game is Gem Wars. You can find it on Steam, Gem Wars Attack of the Giblets, and I hope that you guys will check this out because it's a really cool game, and it's always good to support, indie developers, because I think that that's where you're finding a lot of these gems, especially back in the day when people would talk about wanting to find these specific special games that they can, find that's a little bit different than, all your normal Call of Duties and stuff that just keeps getting rotated over and over again. But thanks for coming on and talking with us, David.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.